Madam Clerk, please close the machine and take a tally.
Mr. Speaker, you have 68 members present. You have a quorum.
Resolution on the clerk's desk. Please, everyone, if you could come to order.
Motion by Majority Leader Greenwald that the Assembly adopts Senate concurrent resolution calling for joint legislative session to receive the budget message from the Governor.
Majority Leader Greenwald.
Mr. Speaker, I move the resolution.
Majority Leader Greenwald moves the resolution, seconded by Conference Leader Shavonda Sumter. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. I recognize the Senate Majority Leader from Bergen County representing the 37th District, Senator Loretta Weinberg.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the joint session of the 218th Legislature now comes to order.
I recognize the Majority Leader from Camden County representing the 6th Legislative District, Assemblyman Louis Greenwald.
I second the motion.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. I am advised by the Secretary of State and of the Senate and the Clerk of the General Assembly that a quorum is present at this joint session. Please rise for the invocation be delivered by Pastor Albert L. Morgan of the United Baptist Church in Bridgeton, New Jersey. Reverend Morgan.
May we bow in prayer? Give us this day our daily bread. Thank you for today. Thank you for this assembly. We ask your blessings upon our governor and our Senate. We ask, God, that they would rule and judge us in a way that you will be pleased. You asked us in your word to acknowledge you in all of our ways, and you will direct our path. We pray for this month and for the contributions that women have made to our society, those who have led and supported. We ask today, God, that you would help us to break down walls and build bridges, that we would come together in a partnership. And as they look over the budget, not only allow them to see dollar signs, but let them see faces of seniors and parents and students and babies, and help them to have as one of their slogans, if I can help somebody as I pass along this way, then my living shall not be in vain. We ask this in your Son's name we pray. And the people of God said amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Thank you, Pastor Morgan. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Assemblyman Gary Scheer of Passaic County, representing the 36th District.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Assemblyman Scheer. I recognize the President of the New Jersey Senate from Gloucester County, representing the 3rd District, Senate President Stephen Sweeney.
Mr. Speaker, I wish to inform the joint legislative session of the 218th Legislature that the Governor has arrived. My colleagues, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and pleasure to present the Governor of the State of New Jersey, the Honorable Phil Murphy.
Thank you all. Let's get at it.
You ready to rock?
Lieutenant Governor Sheila Oliver. Senate President Steve Sweeney. Speaker of the General Assembly Craig Coughlin's in the House. Majority Leader Senator Weinberg and Assemblyman Lou Greenwald. Minority Leaders Senator Tom Kaine and Assemblyman John Bramnick. And members of the 218th Legislature, with a particular shout out to the group that walked me in and escorted me in this morning. Former governors, this is a lineup. Ruthie, we miss Brendan every day. God bless you, and God bless his memory. Governor Florio, honored to have you, sir. Governor DeFrancesco, honored to have you, Don. Governor Cody, great to have you, sir. Governor McGreevey, honored to have you. And welcome back, Governor Corzine. Chief Justice Rabner, Judge Grant, somebody's got a phone going there. Members of the extraordinary cabinet, faith leaders, honored guests, and fellow New Jerseyans. Our license plates say New Jersey, the Garden State. But even more than that, New Jersey is the middle class state. We are all in this together, and coming together is how we succeed. So today I am presenting a budget that is a blueprint for how we continue to build a more secure and inclusive middle class in New Jersey. This budget is how we... This budget is how we make real the promise of a stronger and fairer state that works for every family, and it builds on the progress that we have already made. Together, we are paving the way for countless families, like the family that I grew up in, who want nothing more than to move into the middle class, and we are smoothing the path for those already there. Together, just a month ago, we put our state on a path to $15 an hour minimum wage. Yeah. This path is the on-ramp that more than 1 million New Jerseyans will use to ultimately move into the middle class. The economic activity they will power will make those already in the middle class more secure. But it's about more than just economics. The New York Times said it best, and I quote them: "The $15 minimum wage doesn't just improve lives, it saves them." And they went further. A living wage is an antidepressant. It is a sleep aid, a diet, a stress reliever. It is a contraceptive preventing teenage pregnancy. It prevents premature death. It shields children from neglect. If anyone in this chamber ever questions whether what we do matters, simply think of the families striving to join the middle class, those whose paths have been blocked because of a yawning racial wealth gap. And think of the Alice families, asset-limited, income-constrained, but employed, those families working hard but falling behind. And then look to this achievement. Or to this one. 2 weeks ago, we expanded paid family leave to make an even greater difference for families. Yeah. We expanded, We expanded family leave to make a greater difference for families who need time off from work to welcome a new baby or to care for a sick loved one. And if that weren't enough, 1 week ago today, workers who had never before had the ability to take a paid sick day finally began to enjoy this basic benefit that so many of us take for granted. Together, we are beginning to properly fund our public schools, strengthening a public education engine that is the foundation for the middle class, and at the same time providing much-needed property tax relief. Together, we are fundamentally redefining public education with greater access to pre-K and by beginning to make community college tuition-free. These are landmark achievements. These are landmark achievements in strengthening the middle class and making New Jersey a national leader. Together, we are making health insurance more affordable and finally funding Planned Parenthood. Steps that take some of the edge off the high costs of health care. Together, we are rebuilding NJ Transit, directly benefit. Yeah, please, God. Ray? If it kills me, we'll rebuild NJ Transit. And by doing so, we'll be directly benefiting everyone who commutes to work and school, and at the same time, making our state more competitive. Together, we are making real differences in everyday lives of millions of people. Together, we are making New Jersey stronger and fairer. For all of this, I thank you. But we must be clear where this journey started. This administration and this legislature inherited a state hollowed out by years of wrong-headed and short-sighted decisions. It was 8 years of shutting out middle-class New Jersey families and shutting the door on those struggling to get there. New Jersey lagged the nation in economic growth and in creating jobs. 11 credit downgrades drove up costs and pushed down our reputation. Critical infrastructure projects were abandoned. NJ Transit was gutted, and commuters were literally left behind. Public schools and pensions were underfunded year after year. Again and again, New Jersey's middle class paid the price. Of course, we heard the word affordability a lot over those 8 years, but as with so many things over those years, the rhetoric and the reality didn't connect. Affordability was only defined in narrow, partisan terms. For 8 long years, the politics of division failed New Jersey, just as the politics of division are today failing our nation. So today in New Jersey, we are climbing our way out of a deep hole. But in New Jersey, we don't give up. We just work harder. So together, let's get to work. In this budget, affordability is about the smart and honest investment of our resources where they will do the most good, where they could create broad opportunity for many, as opposed to just rewarding a privileged few, where they can rebuild our middle class rather than milk it. And affordability is about being good stewards of every taxpayer dollar and working together to find savings that no one had thought possible. That's why this budget is rooted in over $1.1 billion with a B dollars in real and sustainable savings, including nearly $800 million in public employee health benefit cost savings and another $200 million plus in departmental savings. And you heard that number right. Over 1.1 billion real and sustainable savings. Much of these significant savings were achieved through cooperation with our public employees rather than through confrontation. These savings were achieved through the power of working together. These savings will allow us to take the steps we need to make New Jersey move forward. Growing up in our family, the only way we could spend money was if we saved money. And I know a lot of New Jerseyans understand that. Of course, no one, and I repeat, no one, especially not me, questions that taxes are a big piece in New Jersey's affordability puzzle. That is why, bless you, that is why slowing the growth of property taxes to a record low matters. That is why our expansion of the earned income tax credit matters. That is why restoring the homestead property tax benefit matters. That's why tax fairness for middle-class families, for seniors, and small and medium-sized businesses matters. This budget continues us down this path. But growing our economy, we must never forget this, and investing in the things that will make life better for our middle class and those who aspire to join it are equally important. Each of us came here to make things better, to meet our responsibilities, and to serve our constituents. This is a chamber filled with good people, with good intentions. Yet here we are, paying the price for past years of pushing problems down a broken road. That is why this blueprint for the middle class matters. This budget is built, I love the music, by the way. This budget is built upon 4 elements. 1, doing the hard work to realize over $1.1 billion in sustainable savings. 2, stabilizing New Jersey's creditworthiness through responsible fiscal stewardship. 3, maintaining and growing our investments in education, infrastructure, in particular NJ Transit, and in an innovation-driven economy that reaches deep into every neighborhood. And 4th, ensuring tax fairness for our middle class. We must remember that each number we write into the budget is a face. The face of one of millions of New Jerseyans looking to us to put aside our differences to overcome our challenges. And several of these faces are here with us today, guests of the Lieutenant Governor and the First Lady. They are committed to being part of a better future, and they are the people that this budget invests in. Among them are Tawana Watkins, over to my left, of East Orange, who is part of the new class of NJ Transit engineers and who will play a big part in once again making NJ Transit the envy of the nation. Welcome, Tawana. Great to have you. Lindenwald's Aurelio Sotelo is a finance student at Rutgers Camden, thanks in part to the Educational Opportunity Fund. Because of the EOF, Aurelio is well on his way to achieving his dream of owning his own clothing company. Aurelio, great to have you, man. And to my right, Stacy Barrier-Lothrop and Jans Heinzen of Carbon 22 are in the house. Carbon 20, yeah. Carbon 22 is an innovative medical device manufacturer which is taking root at the Kearney Point incubator space. Carbon 22 is also the very first company to take advantage of the investment we are making in our startup culture through NJ Ignite, the EDA's collaborative workspace rent initiative. In our work to reclaim our dominance in the innovation economy, people like Stacy and Jans and companies like Carbon 22 will lead the charge. Great to have you with us. Thank you. Their faces and the faces of our other special guests with us today, and the millions of others like them across our state, are why the most important investment in this budget is in the middle class and in those who dream to join its ranks. We are as committed to them as we are to our principles. But as I have said before, we can compromise on policy without compromising either our principles or our commitment to our people. I understand the budget I am proposing today will not be identical to the one that I will ultimately sign. We will talk, we will negotiate, and we will compromise. This is as it should be. This is how our system works best. We will have to make hard choices, but that is different from false choices. We need to be stronger and fairer. We can't have economic progress without social progress, and likewise, we can't have social progress without economic progress. Because when we remember that success and fairness are not mutually exclusive, we could do big things. Last year, our administration worked with our public employees to strike an agreement that is saving state and local taxpayers $500 million across 2 years. At the same time, while protecting the health care of the men and women of state and local government, our educators, and our police and fire and EMS first responders. But that was not an end. It was just a beginning, and our conversations never stopped. We continued to present new ideas, to hear theirs, and to talk as partners instead of as adversaries. Negotiations and progress flow from mutual trust. They go nowhere when there is only mutual suspicion. That's the old way. That's the failed way. And those days are over. In total, our budget contains roughly $800 million in real and lasting savings in the delivery of public employee health care in the coming fiscal year. That is a 16% year-over-year decrease, a 16% year-over-year decrease from the current budget. Importantly, the reforms we have agreed upon and those we continue to work toward in good faith will allow our taxpayers to keep hundreds of millions of dollars in their pockets. Their impact on local and school budgets is also expected to deliver more than $400 million in property tax relief. And, as importantly, it will save money for those who serve our state, our communities, and our schools, while at the same time maintaining the high-quality health care that they deserve. It will make New Jersey more affordable across the board. Half of these savings we will be able to implement administratively, while others will be realized through collective bargaining and the work of the plan design committees that craft the policies available to our public workforce. Our public workers are not the enemy. They are our neighbors. They are also taxpayers. They are the heart of our middle class. It is not pandering to stand with them. It is doing our jobs. We accomplished this with the same mindset in which we work to save residents an average of more than 9% on individual health care policies by protecting the Affordable Care Act. The aim isn't to offer lesser care, it's to provide high-quality care at a lower cost, and we are doing that. And we're doing it without yelling, threatening, or calling people names. And I will continue to work in partnership and in good faith with our partners in the public workforce on ways we can collectively ensure greater progress and greater relief for our taxpayers. As I mentioned, we have also identified another $200 million plus in departmental savings opportunities throughout the budget, which we will apply this year. I thank Treasurer Liz Moyo and her team for their hard work that has added up to over $1.1 billion in savings, and by anyone's standards, over $1.1 billion is a big deal. I can't find her, but I also want to thank Human Services Commissioner Carol Johnson. Carol, where are you? Carol, you're back there. This is in addition to the $1.1 billion I referred to. I want to thank Carol for her knowledgeable leadership in finding over an additional $250 million in recoverable Medicaid funds, plus millions more in other efficiencies that will allow us to maximize our federal dollars while protecting beneficiaries. Thank you. We are building a stronger fiscal house for New Jersey. We are replacing gimmicks with stability. For example, the projected surplus of the budget that I signed last year was $765 million. And that was a vast improvement over prior budgets. But through careful management and keeping an eye on every dollar, we have grown our surplus this year by 1/3 over the course of the year, and are now set to close fiscal 2019 with a surplus of over $1 billion. The budget that I am presenting today will grow our surplus even more in fiscal 2020 to nearly $1.2 billion. And I ask you to find the last time we had consecutive years of billion-dollar-plus surpluses in the state of New Jersey. Last year, I proposed a budget that significantly cut back on the use of so-called one-shots, and this budget once again maintains that example. One-shot revenues are down to only 1.7%, which is a decrease of about 1/3 over the current budget, and it's about half the average yearly amount across the prior administration. And in this budget, we are significantly curtailing fund diversions. We are, God forbid. We are eliminating entirely the diversion from the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. You having a good time? Everybody good? By doing so, Lieutenant Governor Sheila Oliver and her team at DCA can do more to ensure accessibility of safe and affordable housing. And I know it sounds like I'm fishing for applause, but I'm not. And through the Clean Energy Fund, we will put back more than $70 million back to work to make critical investments in our clean energy economy. This shows how far we have already come in fixing the structural problems that years of past fiscal decisions had created, and let there be no doubt, we know there's still work to do. Especially with our surplus, we must remain vigilant to safeguard these funds and not to view them as just extra cash laying around to be rated for any number of programs or projects, no matter how well-intentioned. Reducing our reliance on one-shots and diversions means greater year-over-year fiscal predictability and reliability. But the real value is that it allows us to make the investments we need to make New Jersey a stronger and fairer state for every family. And reaching these fiscal mileposts will not go unnoticed by the rating agencies with whom I will visit later this week and whose decisions greatly impact our future sustainability. Because with a more sustainable fiscal future, we can make more sustainable investments in our future. Last year, we began the process of finally fulfilling our obligations to our public schools, increasing our investment in K through 12 classrooms by more than $350 million. Let there be no doubt, this investment is one reason, if not the most important reason, why 2018 saw the lowest increase in average statewide property tax bills, not just in the last 9 years, but on record. And the work to modernize our formula to meet the on-the-ground needs of districts today, led by Senate President Sweeney, is ensuring that school funding dollars are more efficiently and effectively following our children. We also increased investment in high-quality pre-K programs. Today, in 64 additional school districts, more than 4,400 3- and 4-year-olds now have access to pre-K they lacked just 1 year ago today. This budget maintains this commitment to our kids and our public schools, starting with an additional over last year, $206 million to ramp up to the full K through 12 formula funding. There is $68 million more to not only maintain, but to expand pre-K. These commitments mean we can continue to be a national leader in the delivery of high-quality public education. And our budget continues our Computer Science for All initiative. This gives more high school students, especially minority students, access to an advanced computer science course so they can earn college credits and industry credentials and go on to increase the diversity of our innovation economy. Our budget includes $5 million more for tuition aid grants and an additional $2.25 million to support the Educational Opportunity Fund. This is the 50th year in which accomplished students like Aurelio are benefiting from EOF. It is the greatest legislative legacy of former Governor Tom Kean, who sponsored the original bill. Let's ensure it continues to write new chapters for our students going forward. Last year, we inaugurated a grant program that, in concert with EOF and TAG and other available aid, is helping 13,000 qualified students to pursue an associate's degree, tuition-free, at one of 13 community colleges. This budget will grow our investment in community college opportunity grants to reach a total of 18,000 students in the 2019-2020 academic year, not at 13 colleges, but at every community college, and much more of them much more of them will be pursuing a degree full-time. And our budget looks to a new way to help our 4-year public colleges and universities. We propose a $20 million in new formula-driven aid based on what is needed to ensure the best outcomes for all students and reflect the diversity of our state. This is a first step in funding higher education through fairness and not politics. And it is part of the broader state plan, which Higher Education Secretary Dr. Zakiya Smith-Ellis will be releasing in the near future. Thank you, Zakiya. Last year, we enhanced and refocused our investment in workforce development and apprenticeship programs. We awarded grants, expanding opportunities for thousands more to learn and master the skills that will lead them into good-paying, family-supporting careers. This budget continues that commitment. Our blueprint for the middle class, through its investments in education and workforce development, will continue to make a more competitive and more affordable New Jersey. In our current budget, we restored direct property tax relief to thousands of middle-class families who were cut off by the prior administration. I thank Speaker Coughlin for leading the fight to restore this relief, and this budget maintains our commitment with $283 million in direct property tax relief for our middle-class families and seniors. In a state with an unmatched location and a regional economy built on moving people and goods, there is no higher priority than fixing NJ Transit. We owe our customers a transportation system that makes their lives smoother rather than harder. They deserve a system that is safer, more reliable, and customer-oriented. Our current budget began the long process of turning around an agency that had been allowed and hollowed out by years of disinvestment and mismanagement, leaving customers as second-class citizens and hurting our economic well-being. Last year, commuters were spared a fare hike, and if we pass this budget's investment, there won't be one this year either. Good. Through our current investment, NJ Transit has moved ahead with procurement of new rail cars and buses to build capacity and relieve overcrowding. We are rebuilding the gutted ranks of rail engineers and bus operators needed to keep the lines running, and I cannot wait to welcome our first class of new train engineers later this spring. Because of our investment, NJ Transit was able to push forward to meet the federal government's December 31st, 2018 deadline on positive train control, a feat almost no one outside of our administration, and I mean almost no one, thought possible. On Friday, I signed legislation that expands a commuter tax cut, allowing more commuters to directly benefit from pre-tax savings accounts to pay for their rail or bus fares. This could keep hundreds of extra dollars a year in their pockets. NJ Transit has also reached agreement with Amtrak on millions of dollars worth of back payments. They are now working together on joint investments in infrastructure and renovations at New York Penn Station that will improve the customer experience. This budget maintains all of this progress. It will provide $407 million in general fund support to NJ Transit. This $100 million increase will replace $75 million in fund diversions, in addition to providing $25 million in new direct funding. This keeps NJ Transit on the path to being the turnaround story, never mind of New Jersey, but of the nation. It keeps rebuilding the ranks of professionals needed to keep our system running. And most importantly, it keeps improving service to our commuters. It's this simple. An investment in NJ Transit is a direct investment in our economy, our business environment, and our commuters. It's an investment in hardworking people like Tawana, and in the people that she will take to and from work every day. And we will responsibly invest in meeting our pension obligation and continuing the progress to bringing the pension funds back to health with a second straight record-setting payment, this year's totaling $3.8 billion. Our pension obligation, like many of our challenges, NJ Transit and school funding, among others, did not spring up overnight. It grew because decisions made by both parties allowed it to grow. I know this challenge particularly well, perhaps better than many, I studied it in depth more than a decade ago when Governor Cody asked me to chair the first Pension and Benefits Task Force. But the message our task force put forward nearly a decade and a half ago is just as true today. We cannot look for quick outs or easy fixes because they simply don't exist. It took us years to get to this point, and it will take years of good faith efforts that must include our public employees, our educators, and our first responders to successfully get past it. And that's why we are making this record $3.8 billion pension contribution, to keep our promises and to meet our fiscal challenges head on. We must ensure that our commitment to affordable, high-quality health care and evidence-based policymaking remains as strong as ever. Our current budget restored funding for Planned Parenthood and women's health care. As a result of that investment, over 10,000 more patients, both women and men, by the way, were served in 2018 compared to 2017. At the national level, President Trump and his administration are continuing their assault on Title X, putting the health of millions of women across the country at risk for starkly partisan and political reasons. In New Jersey, we're showing the better way forward. Last year, 4 clinics were added where residents could receive family planning services, and an entirely new health clinic opened at Rutgers Newark. Patients gained access to 8,000 additional hours to receive vital services, including potentially life-saving cancer screenings. More than 40 critical staffing roles were filled. More than 80,000 STD tests were provided free of charge. And today, more women have access to long-acting birth control. This budget maintains our commitment so we can continue to build upon this progress. Over the past year, the First Lady, who's with us today with 2 of our children, Charlie and Sam, the First Lady has taken on the growing racial disparity in maternal health, alongside 12 of our commissioners, leaders in our healthcare and faith communities, legislators, and many others. I want to give a special shout out to Health Commissioner Dr. Sharif El-Nahal, Children and Families Commissioner Christine Norbert-Beyer, and Human Services Commissioner Carol Johnson. The facts are jarring. New Jersey ranks 45th in the nation, yes, 45th in maternal death rate, nearly double the national average. Even worse, 60% of new mothers who die because of complications from childbirth are women of color. A black baby in New Jersey is 3 times more likely to die in her or his first year of life than a white baby. That is the widest racial disparity in the United States of America. To combat this, the First Lady and our administration inaugurated the Nurture NJ campaign to raise awareness of our maternal and child mortality crisis and to develop a comprehensive interagency plan. This budget will support these efforts to bring together more experts and residents in the search for lasting solutions. And our budget will provide $1 million through our Medicaid program for doulas, some of whom are with us today. Thank you. The doulas who play a critical role in reversing these statistics. Medicaid covers 40% of all childbirths in New Jersey, and these babies deserve a chance as much as any other. Amen. You doing okay? You all right? You okay, guys? Okay. These babies are far, unfortunately, from the only vulnerable New Jerseyans that this budget seeks to help. While we maintain our commitment to emergency aid for homeless residents, this budget also recognizes that money alone is not an answer to this vexing problem. We'll take a broader approach through the creation of an Office of Homelessness Initiatives in the Department of Community Affairs to act as a, to act as a hub for more strategic and coordinated efforts, where we use data and analytics to create and implement solutions to address people's housing needs, especially among our veterans. God bless our veterans. And this office will cover everything across the whole span of homelessness, from prevention to emergencies to permanency. And our budget will provide critical resources to allow individuals with both developmental disabilities and mental health challenges to thrive in their communities. In addition, we will do more to alleviate the costs pushed onto our Medicaid system by large employers who leave workers to rely on Medicaid instead of offering a health care plan. This budget will ask employers with 50 or more employees on Medicaid to pay a small corporate responsibility fee of $150 for each one of these employees. They should share in the burden. They should share in the burden of paying for their employees' care rather than leaving it to the rest of us. And our budget will maintain our commitment to working families in other ways, including continuing the child and dependent care tax credit we passed together last year, which is benefiting more than 74,000 New Jersey families. We are continuing to support smart, compassionate, and just prisoner reentry efforts. I commend Governor McGreevey and our faith-based communities for all their great work on the front lines. Our budget this year will increase investments in programs proven to decrease rates of recidivism and will support the ability of incarcerated individuals to continue their education so they can find second chances when they come back to our communities. In every respect, we commit to reforming our criminal justice system for the better. In our current budget, we set aside $100 million to directly combat our opioid epidemic through carefully designed programs and thoughtful, data-driven analysis to put resources where they are most needed. We are ever mindful in doing so that the opioid epidemic was ravaging our cities long before it made headlines. This budget maintains our commitment and proposes increasing fees on opioid drug distributors and manufacturers to help support our fight against the opioid epidemic. Other states, red and blue alike, I might add, are taking similar steps. Let's join them. Let's send a clear message that we should be working together to end our national addiction to opioids, not to continue feeding it. As we look to building the New Jersey of the future, we must be mindful of our ability to continue these investments well into our future. In my budget address 1 year ago, I called for us to enact a new way in which we provide the tax incentives that help us attract and retain businesses. I spoke directly to it in October when I released my economic master plan, and I reiterated this call in my State of the State address 7 weeks ago. There are many opinions on our current system of open-ended corporate tax breaks, but here is a simple fact. The potential impact of past corporate tax breaks on corporate business tax collection in the coming fiscal year surpasses $1 billion. And it will remain over $1 billion annually for at least the next 3 fiscal years. The simple fact is that we are currently obligated, and I repeat, the word is obligated, to corporate tax breaks totaling $11 billion through at least fiscal 2031. Unless we forget, for all of these incentives, before this administration took office, New Jersey was 42nd in job growth and 49th in wage growth. That's out of 50, by the way, while key investments in education and infrastructure, including things like a tunnel under the Hudson River, never happened. Even under a capped program, yes, we would see some loss in corporate business tax revenues, but it would be predictable and sustainable. We can provide strategic incentives without hurting our ability to reinvest in the things that bolster our economy and help our businesses, like education and property tax relief, workforce development, and NJ Transit. That new tunnel to New York would be nice too, by the way. Tax incentives, yeah. Tax incentives, transparent and accountable, smartly devised and strategically deployed, have a vital role to play in a focused economic growth plan. They are a needed step in undertaking structural fiscal reform and restoring middle-class affordability. I am a pro-growth progressive. I want the world's biggest and best technology, clean energy, and life sciences companies to come and expand here. But I'm even more committed to the next generation being born and growing here. Reforming how we jumpstart job creation needs to be about both creating jobs and more wisely investing taxpayer money. The companies dreaming of making it big in New Jersey, like Carbon 22 as an example, deserve our support. We must be smart and strategic about how we encourage new startups and entrepreneurs, about how we nurture more businesses owned by women, by persons of color, and by veterans, and about how we lead the world in clean energy solutions like offshore wind. We can reclaim and dominate all aspects of the innovation economy. But that's why we need innovative incentive programs. To be pro-business in the 21st century, you need to be agile and creative, just like the businesses we want to grow. Our current programs expire on June 30th, along with the current budget. I ask you to join me now with renewed purpose in creating the new suite of smart, focused, and capped incentive programs we need to boost our people and our economy without compromising our ability to invest in our people and our economy. We could do this on a parallel track as we work on our final budget, and we can enact them together. In fact, we must. Because together, we enacted a responsibly balanced budget that invests in our people, in our infrastructure, and which stands for fairness for our middle class. New Jersey's priorities stand proudly in contrast with those of President Trump and his administration. Right now, across the state, countless middle-class families are doing their taxes and wondering where the tax cuts they were promised by President Trump and his enablers went. Many barely felt the impact in their take-home pay, and now they're getting less back in their refunds. Many others, because of their now limited state and local tax deduction, are actually paying more. Our new congressional delegation, along with those from our neighboring states, I might add Democrats and Republicans alike, announced legislation to restore the full middle-class SALT deduction by, in part, simply asking the wealthiest to go back to paying what they paid all the way back in 2017. I commend their efforts and give them my full support. And 10 days ago, I joined with governors from other states adversely impacted by the SALT cap to announce our concerted efforts to have it reversed. But while those efforts are ongoing, and while our middle class is trying to figure out where their tax relief went, those at the very top are shouldering less and less of their fair share of the tax burden. That's the opposite of tax fairness. Let's work together to apply the millionaire's tax to every millionaire. By doing so, we can do more to relieve the burden on middle-class taxpayers and senior citizens who are taking it on the chin from the Trump administration's tax scam. Let's be absolutely clear. This is not a tax that will be paid by anyone in the middle class. Period. Full stop. But it is revenue that is necessary to strengthen and expand the middle class. As I have underscored, we have done a great deal of work to save money, $1.1 billion in this budget, in order to address our fiscal challenges. And we must have the same commitment to support the middle class and those aspiring to get there. Our taxpayers overwhelmingly support this across party lines and across the state. We should listen to them and do this together. And we know they also support our work to legalize and regulate adult use marijuana. I thank Senate President, I thank Senate President Sweeney, Speaker Coughlin, and Senator Scuteri for their partnership. I know we're not across the finish line yet, but we are closer than ever before. Most importantly, this is the right step for eliminating decades-old and persistent racial and social inequities. But it is also our chance to create an entirely new state-based industry with the potential to create thousands of good-paying jobs, expand opportunities for minority business owners, and jumpstart billions of dollars in new economic activity. And I will only sign this if it expunges the records of those who have been put through our criminal justice system for prior marijuana offenses. Bless you all. Bless you. This is an unfinished item from last year's to-do list. Let's commit to completing this effort together. And I renew my call for us to increase the fees for gun licenses and handgun permits. It was long past time that we did this last year when we took so many steps to restore our standing as a national leader in gun safety. And it's even more past time today. We're not being terribly radical on this. Our current gun fees were set in 1966 when Governor Richard Hughes worked in this building. Brian, I know you're up there. God bless your dad. It's now 2019. It's actually cheaper to get a permit to purchase a handgun, $2, than it is to get a dog license in many of our communities. This is what's needed to support the efforts of Attorney General Gurbir Grewal, our state troopers, and county and local law enforcement to fight crime and track gun violence, and to combat the trafficking of illegal guns into our state. In 2018, roughly 80% of the gun used in the commission of a crime came from out of state. As with our other efforts, I know the people of New Jersey will support us. This budget isn't about getting us through the next year. It's about putting ourselves on a trajectory to be that New Jersey that we want to be in 10 years. We all must be a part of this. No one should be pointing from the sidelines and leaving the hard work of governing to others. We must all find ourselves with some dirt on our uniforms. It was one of our greatest presidents, Teddy Roosevelt, who told us the credit goes to those, and I quote the president, actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood. I am proud of everyone who over the course of this past year has joined me in rolling up their sleeves and jumping into the arena to help with the hard work of restoring New Jersey. Senate President Sweeney, Assembly Speaker Coughlin, so many of you seated here in this chamber, our cabinet and team led by the incomparable Lieutenant Governor Sheila Oliver, elected officials all across our states, mayors, council members, boards of education, county officials, faith leaders, the men and women of organized labor, first responders, our active duty military and our veterans, our LGBTQ community, business leaders, educators, communities of color, countless advocates, and the thousands of everyday New Jerseyans that I have met all across our state. This really is about achieving big things by working together, and I thank you. This budget continues our work to invest in the single most consequential asset in New Jersey, our people. This budget doubles down on the middle class and all those dreaming to get there, just as my family was when I was growing up. This budget is the blueprint for building this New Jersey. It is about value for our middle class, and as importantly, it's about our middle class values. We are the middle class state, and when we listen to both the dreams and the concerns of our middle class families, we can find the answers that help all of New Jersey move forward. Because when people prosper, New Jersey prospers. When families can move forward, New Jersey moves forward. When seniors are more secure, New Jersey is more secure. When we foster a better future for young people will build their future here. When we open our doors to innovative new businesses, those businesses will power our economy. My vision for New Jersey has never wavered. We need to continue to build an economy that works from the middle class out and the bottom up. We need an economy that embraces the future, but at the same time stays true to the values of rewarding hard work, creating opportunity, and providing the tools that people need to succeed. Thank you. May God bless the great state of New Jersey and its great people and the United States of America.